It doesn't get
Hello, welcome to today's astrology study group. And we are going to talk about eclipses and look at them because today, the 25th of October, 2022, we have a partial solar eclipse. We'll kind of unpack this in a minute, but I want to look at it in this form since I already have it lined up here. We'll come back to this. And then when we look at the transits for the week, we'll look at this more. But here is the solar eclipse. A solar eclipse is also, you can kind of think of it as the new moon because today's also the new moon. Solar eclipses and new moon about the same thing almost. We just say it that way just to put something in your head. Lunar eclipses kind of equal full moons. So solar is like the new and lunar is like the full. And right now we're at a new moon, and it's a new moon in Scorpio. So if we look at this chart, we see over on it's, in the first house, and it doesn't matter where the house is. It's just where I set the chart and the time and all that. So it doesn't matter at this point. But what I want you to look at is the sun and the moon are at 2 degrees Scorpio. And I could have aligned this when the moon was on the other side of the sun or whatever. That just kind of doesn't matter. I just put it this way because it all lines up really nice. And the moon, or I should say the eclipse, was at 2 degrees Scorpio. So here it is at showing it's 2 degrees Scorpio. And interesting, look at Venus is right there in the picture too. Whoa. So that's those the moon and Venus are being eclipsed. So interesting. Okay, so what do we know about the new moon? The new moon, when we look out, we can't see it, right? It's a dark moon where the full moon is visible. And I'll show you in a minute so we can kind of understand that a little bit better. But if we see it on this chart, which is the flattened planets, the flattened heavens, the flat Earth, here we go. I guess there is a flat Earth theory going on here. Okay, so anyway, you see the sun and the moon right next to each other. And if it's like this on the chart, then it's the sun is so bright, it's eclipsing the moon. You can't see it, it's dark. And you can barely see Mercury as well. It's a bit behind there. It's going to catch up and pass the sun, but right now it's behind, so you can't see it. It's too close, burning it out. And then Venus, you can't see that either because it's too close to the sun. Now, the reason it's a eclipse is that it's very close to the moon nodes. And you see the moon node here. This is the south node. It's at 13 degrees Scorpio. And that's the reason it's a partial eclipse. If it were a total eclipse, it would be like within, I guess they give it a couple of degrees. It could be then 0 degrees Scorpio to 4 degrees Scorpio, more or less. I'm not sure that's the exact, don't quote me on if it's exactly 2 degrees, but more or less. It's going to be really close, at that, the moon and the nodes. Now, there's 4 kinds of eclipses. I just gave you 2. There's solar and lunar, but there's north node solar and north node lunar, and south node solar and south node lunar. Would just make sense. It just so this one we know it's a solar eclipse and it's by the south node. So this is a south node solar eclipse. I hope I said that right. It's a solar eclipse and it's by the south node. All right, so it's a south node solar eclipse. South node solar eclipse. All right, so just keep that in the back of your head. All right, just as a note, you'll always know that the moon node, they're opposites. So we know that our north node is over there in Taurus. It's been there. It was conjuncting Uranus. It was this summer. Now they're, moving a little further apart. The moon nodes move opposite as the planets. So the moon is, the node is traveling through Taurus, getting closer to Aries, just as a reminder. Okay. All right. So we're going to come back to this. I'm going to, let me see which chart, what I want to show you. All right. Let's give you this one. And Okay, I grabbed this from Astromundus, astromundus.com. Um, this is the sun, the big orange ball, big yellow ball, and here's the Earth over here, and you'll see the moon, going around the Earth like this. Okay, it's going around here, like my cursor, and then this pair is going around the sun. So it's like you have one movement of the a double movement here with the moon going around the Earth, and then that buzzing around the sun here. Of course, there's other planets, but we're just talking about this one. Okay, now where the line of where the moon is, that's track, but imagine it's like on an imaginary track. It's going around the Earth. Where it hits the track where the Earth goes around the sun, that spot is the node of the moon, is the moon's node. See, and you can see right here, they're pointing to, the ascending node on one side and the descending node on the other. Don't worry about it at the moment. It's north node, south node, but that is how we get those points. Isn't that cool? So you'll see that it's got just it says 5 degrees. I think that's, that little bit of tilt, and that's the degrees off of exact. Okay, so let's not get hung up on that. Just think in your mind, moon buzzing around the Earth, Earth and moon buzzing around the sun. The place where the moon's buzzing around Earth hits where both of them's buzzing around the sun. This y'all where that y'all hit, that's the moon node. Okay, I think you got that. All right, now let's see what else I want to show you. Bear with me. Okay. And let's see. All right, here's another picture here. Okay, so let's give you a new share. Is this the one I want? Which is the better one? Well, let me give you both of them. Sometimes one image does better for somebody than another. So let's do this one. Okay, this one is, who's this? Torito.com. I don't know. I was just looking for images of solar versus lunar eclipse. So, all right, we're up over here. Let's see, how do I do? Oops, sorry. Bear with me one second. Okay, get that out of the way. Now we got a little more room. Okay, top, but don't mind this stuff sign up on here, but I just want you to see this picture here. Okay, top one is the solar eclipse. This is what we're having now. And imagine that we're sitting here on the Earth, and it's like just imagine we're sitting over here in Africa, because it's just easier to imagine somewhere, because that's what they're showing. Now, if you imagine sitting out here and you're looking out at the moon, you're going to see a dark moon, right? Because it's being shadowed by the sun. See, the sun is hitting this side of the moon, and it's making, this side appear dark. If you have trouble thinking about what I'm talking about, go turn a light on or a lamp, and or go look at a bright light or something, and then put like your hand in front of it, so you will block out part of that light with your hand, but yet the back of your hand, which is closer to your face, will be harder to see because it'll be kind of silhouetted there. It's dark and because of bright light behind it. So something like that, you can see how that we would see then the dark of the moon. And just depending on how exact it is, it's just showing you here. It says total eclipse. When you're right in this tiny little spot of Africa, it's total. It'll be blacked out completely. But if you're on the wider part of Africa over here, or on a boat off the coast, in this other one, the partial eclipse area, you'll actually see, as the moon, is passing by, with the sun behind it, you'll see it. Okay, you gotta have little glasses to see it because of that effect. On the bottom one, the lunar eclipse, we see, again, if you're looking out, this one is not as easy to see, but the light of the sun goes past the Earth, and it, if it's during the day, of course, of course, if it's at night, it will light it up, and it will be the full moon. It'll be past it, but here the Earth is in the way. So it's showing you for this time, the Earth is passing between the sun and the moon, and it's eclipsing it. I wish I could move it, like 3D and push the Earth out of the way a little bit. But this is showing that the Earth is actually moving in between, and it does it for what, an hour or 2 or 3 or something like that. And then it's shading the actual moon. See, the moon during a lunar eclipse is a full moon, which is you're able to see it. But when it's exact, when there's a lunar eclipse that's exact, it gets in the way, and you can see how big the shadow would be from the Earth because it's bigger than the moon, and it would totally eclipse it there for a bit. All right, so I hope that, let me just actually show you another picture. One more, just to give you another point of view. All right, who is this? This one is, I just want to give these people whoever, by juice or something, by juice. Okay, give them reference. By Juice, the learning app. Okay, juice. I don't know how you say it. Jus. All right, here's solar eclipse, a little bit more diagrammic, and lunar eclipse. So again, solar eclipse. I don't know. I think I might just confuse you if I'm showing you this again, but you'll see here. Okay, on the lunar eclipse side, how it's going. The Earth is getting between and it's eclipsing the moon. Okay, I think we beat this down a little bit, so I hope you understand this one. And I'm going to, let's go over to some of my notes. Okay, let's look at what this means for you. I got a lot of stuff, but I want to share this one with you, and we can look along with this with me. I'd rather have you look at something and nothing, or you can just listen. Not a problem. All right. So eclipses always come in 2s or 3s, and the first in this series is a solar eclipse in Scorpio today on October 25th. The first eclipse of the season activates a desire for emotional release. This is not a time to take on more or get entangled in the drama, especially now that it's in Scorpio, but we'll get there. So advice is kind of like turn lights down low, RSVP maybe, or no thank you. Give yourself plenty of time to sort and sift and rest. The 2-week period spanning the events known as eclipse season. So now we're going to have the new moon, and in 2 weeks there'll be the full moon eclipse, and that one will be pretty exact. And I think we've talked about that, I would say almost ad nauseum, about, and that's going to be on the election day, which we'll probably talk about again next week. Okay, anyway, the 2-week period spanning this time, it's a time when our energy levels swing between feeling drained and real buzzy. It's, a real manic, depressive kind of time. It's when the plot lines of our lives twist and turn, when we're asked to bid farewell to any patterns, relationships, or situations that have outlived their best. At the same time, new people and opportunities almost appear out of thin air. I can attest to that, but I'm not going to get in my drama, but it's just funny. While eclipses can bring sudden events, what comes up may not surprise you because it contains the story you've been living for the last 6 months. Seeing these things just kind of hook one to the other, and they're swinging and they're just moving a little bit, and we're moving into the new signs as they move around, and it's just pretty interesting. So anyway, there will be one more eclipse on May 5th, 2023. So this one did I say May 5th? Yeah, on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Remember that one? Cinco de Mayo next year. We got the continuation of this one. So this one on October 25th actually marks the halfway point. All right, I want to just restate that. So we had the first one this last May 15th, 16th. And it's important to look back and maybe see what was happening, to you around that time. We're going to have another one next May on the 5th. See, you can see it's moving a little bit. I mean, it moved 10 days. And then now we have this opposite one on the 25th. So you're going to get them flipping from one to the other. But you're seeing the signs here, the Taurus and the Scorpio axis at this moment. All right. The eclipse on the 25th is a solar eclipse. This means that it occurs during a new moon. During the eclipse, the moon will pass between the Earth and the sun, temporarily obscuring the sun's light. Now this one's partial, so it won't totally block out the sun. Just as the sun enjoys taking center stage in space, our egos enjoy the main character in our lives. Our ego is the main character. How can you not run around with in yourself without having that? So when the sun's light is blotted out, our personas likewise lose a little shine. A period of low vitality, cracked confidence, or missing in action authority figures, whether inner or outer, could also ensue. The purpose is to loosen our grip on who we think we are and what we think we know about life. It turns out that, although unsettling, not being the center of the universe forces us to refocus on what gives real meaning to our lives. This eclipse is also happening near the South Node in Scorpio, which is a point of release, meaning the focus will be on allowing necessary endings to occur, a time to let your system reset and protect your energy. Now, what does this mean to us? Scorpio is not a sign that's satisfied with surface truth. It wants to dig in, it wants to reveal the mystery, and it wants to get to the bottom of things. It's preoccupied with depth. It's looking for the blueprint, the core of the issue, the deepest pulse. So this eclipse isn't after a mere dusting of cabinets. It's a thorough overhaul of both the attic and the basement. Whatever unresolved fears, melancholies, or desires reveal themselves need to be acknowledged with tenderly released. Pay attention and take note. The wise oracle of your feelings has much to tell you now. So basically, you want to rest, you want to give yourself some time, you want to hydrate, you want to maybe weep or cry. If you need to, you might write a list of what you want to release and then rip it up or burn it. Controlled periods of emoting, letting things out, maybe that you've been sweeping under the carpet. You might also want to recycle or give things away. You might want to clean, you want to declutter, you might want to baby yourself, baths, purification, purging, enemas. These definitely are what helps to balance this energies now. All right. Eclipse season is a short window of time that always leads to immense change, and it takes place every 6 months, activating the north and south node of destiny. An eclipse always speeds you up toward your ultimate fate. And while there are two types of eclipses that work in tandem, solar and lunar, they are known for removing what may be obstructing your intended path and forcing you to move in the direction of your destiny. As one celestial body enters the shadow of another, it always shines a light on truths that have been lingering in the dark. I love that. And because this upcoming solar eclipse takes place in Scorpio, the sentiment is being emphasized all the more. The North Node is currently in Taurus, which symbolizes the direction that we as a collective are headed toward. That means the South Node is in Scorpio, which represents the energy that we're being challenged to release. And because the Taurus-Scorpio axis captures themes of ownership and exchange, as well as giving and receiving, you're gaining a better understanding of where to draw your boundaries. So all of us struggle with fears, obsession, jealousy, and attachment at some point. And during this solar eclipse, you're being challenged to overcome at least one of them. All right, a little bit more is good. Letting go of what you've outgrown becomes even more important when the South Node is involved, and it's equivalent to a massive, supermassive black hole. Eclipses are direct strike to the sun and moon's light, which destroys their divine luminosity. However, it's only through destruction that creation is possible. These celestial events are notorious for opening portals of change, which means the upcoming solar eclipse will unveil what needs to be eclipsed out of our lives, regardless of whether we feel ready to move forward. So very interesting things that eclipse out of your life and things that come in. These times are kind of very thin, the veil's thin, and it's like a portal. So that's kind of how they happen on an esoteric level. Because eclipses come in pairs, the lunar eclipse in Taurus will be a follow-up to this month's solar eclipse taking place on November 8th. This will be an energetic extension of the eclipses that took place back in April and May this last year. Okay, they say took place 6:49 Eastern time at exactly 2 degrees. Okay, guiding you to explore the unknown and befriend the fears we've chosen to repress. It's not easy to do what scares you at the most, but looking fear right in the eye can also be wildly empowering. An eclipse doesn't have to be a traumatic experience. In fact, it could lead to something as simple as learning how to trust and let go of doubt. Some of you could feel compelled to embrace deep introspection and come away from it prepared to break away from a toxic habit that brings out the worst in you. Something powerful is being illuminated and you're getting to the root of the problem. Now, one more thing, which is very interesting, because we just saw it when we looked at the chart. Sitting alongside Venus in Scorpio, sitting alongside, there is Venus, the planet of love, relationships, and values, isn't feeling her best. She's under the spotlight. It's, place of detriment there. There could be some Venusian attachments, overindulgence, insecurities, jealousy, possessiveness that need to go, that need to be purged. So Venus, maybe money, power controls, how you, extortion type of tactics, forcing things, because again, we showed you Venus right there being burned out by the sun. All right, revelations regarding our personal and professional partnerships could also come up for review. So don't shy away from confronting the shadow side of your social connections. And again, it goes through the relationship with money and your self-worth. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, one more thing. We're going to make sure that you check the axis of the Taurus Scorpio in your birth chart and think back to what was going on in your life last April. And then, okay, so let's let you look at hold on, the animated page. And I'm going to find another couple things to share with you. You can just peruse. Look at this. All right, so there we go. It's at 2 degrees. Look at all that little line up there, that little stellium there. I have one more thing to share from a couple things from Judith Hill. She has a book called Eclipses in You, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. One of the things I like that she does in it, and she kind of breaks up that, north node solar, north node lunar, south node solar, south node lunar, and she'll go in it. She outlines, like, say it's the solar eclipse here. All right, so let me just go back to see solar eclipse in Scorpio. Okay, so she does like Scorpio. Okay, so she'll go through all the signs. So like Scorpio eclipse for Aries and or Aries rising, Scorpio eclipse for Taurus and or Taurus rising. So where each of the, on each of the sign that she'll do that, and then she goes through, each of them, and then if there's planets involved, she talks about that for both sun and moon. Okay, that's a really good. Oh yeah, what was I going to show you in her book? Couple things she said I thought were really good. One, she said, let's take a closer look at an earlier image. During eclipse, sun or moon, light is temporarily blocked and then turned back on. Right? It's eclipsed and then like it's off and you can't see it, and all of a sudden, boom, it's back on. So from a metaphysical point of view or understanding, we understand that all life is vitalized by the light of the sun or moon. So the vital life force is temporarily modulated. Okay, it's turned off and then turned on. It's like a power outage or a power surge. So at the north node, we get the power surge. At the south node, we get the power outage. All right, what else? She got one more thing I found in here that was pretty cool. I got so much highlight on her whole book, but there's okay, anyway, there's another thing. Okay, so the transiting north node indicates where the tide is coming in, and the south node is where the tide is going out. Also, Judith makes a good point of view there. It's not always that north node is good, south node is bad. That's kind of like the Western view, because it means like material is gained more at the north node, but the south node is like where you can get rid of things on a spiritual level you don't need. So it's important to understand where that's at. So when it's a time of material gain, great, go for it, get it. If it's a time of spiritual let go, I don't want to say loss, but it's a let go. It's like where we can get rid of a lot of the ego entanglement on things that we don't need to harbor or hold on to, purging outdated modes of thinking, outdated traumas, relationships, things that you're putting up with. Those types of things need to be released at the south node. And I find, when we have the south node eclipses, that, to do fasting, purging, juicing, enemas, colonics, different modes of doing something on the physical, because it's like as above, so below. You do it on one level, it kind of helps doing it on many levels. So if you're, getting rid of some outdated relationships, ways, patterns of reacting, somebody does this and you always do that, and you want to just I got to stop this, I'm not going to participate in this. Doing that on one level, physically and mentally, is one thing. I mean, mentally and emotionally is one thing, but when you anchor it in with something on the physical, it becomes even more powerful. What do I mean by that? If you're getting a series of colonics done, or if you're doing enemas at home, or if you're fasting and praying, you make those spiritual things outlet of your focus, your meditation, your focus of why you're doing that. It's like, I really want to get rid of this behavior in myself. You bring that to a focus. I'm done responding this way to this person, or this way in these types of relationships, or whenever this happens, I'm done knee jerking here. And it's kind of like really ironing that out and using that south node exit spiritual energy to make that happen. All right, what else do I want to tell you about that? Okay, so solar eclipses are new moons or beginnings. A door is opened, and the effects of this eclipse could be revealed in the week before, or what I find is usually even weeks and months after the solar eclipse, kind of when energies come around and ding on that same spot. For instance, let's just say you have 2 degrees Scorpio rising and this eclipse is right there. Every time something is hitting 2 degrees Scorpio for a while, or on the other squared, 2 degrees Leo or 2 degrees Aquarius, if we have planets at some of those making aspects, it will resonate this eclipse back to you. All right, or back on whatever, it's like not only was like on your rising, maybe there was next to your moon. Okay, so it will resonate that. Solar eclipse at the north node, our power surges when a great burst of energy comes into the house with the transiting north node. So right now, where is your north node at, 13 degrees Taurus? And then where is your south node at 13 degrees Scorpio? It's good to know those. Okay, if the solar eclipse is with a planet in that house, the meaning of the eclipse is broadened to include that energy. A solar eclipse at the south node is a power outage. That's what we got now in the area of life ruled by the south node's placement. Because we have, you'll see, I mean, it's partial, but the moon right there near that south node makes it the south. We know it's a solar eclipse because it's the new moon, but it's at the south node, and we know it's a power outage. So again, this is the time to let that stuff go, even though it's okay. This isn't one interesting thing that Judith Hill had mentioned, says that even though solar eclipses, okay, how does she say? One thing Judith emphasized, however, is that solar eclipses are not good times to set intentions because the energy is so unstable. Okay, even though this is a new moon, it may not be the best time to make a real good intention like right now. It might be in a few days or so, or next month when there's an actual new moon that's not in having a solar eclipse. Okay, because it's an outgoing, so it's like a push-pull. We've got a solar eclipse, which is a new moon, but it's by the south node, which we need to let go of stuff. So it's kind of a push-pull there. All right, so it's interesting also to look back 6 months ago when the new moon was in the house of the solar eclipse. So it's going to be opposite. So like, just say, we're back to the person that may have the Scorpio rising right now, in their first house. So 6 months ago, it would have been in their 7th house. Okay, let's see. What else do I want to share with you? Um, I think that's about it with the eclipses. I'm just going through my notes here. So really to notice or to just note one more thing, look in your chart again where 2 degrees Scorpio is, because this is where the eclipse, where this solar eclipse is. And it's, even though the solar or the south node is at 13 degrees Scorpio, the eclipse is at 2. That's because it's partial. Now, when it's like right on, it's even more impacting for you. And then again, this one, Venus is right here too. So, and this one right now, if you have a prominent Venus, or if you have anything at all near 2 degrees, it could be 29 degrees of the previous sign, because that's only 3 degrees off of this. So don't forget about that. Just like, oh, I don't have anything in Scorpio with, but if you have 29 Libra, then it's also close to this. Now think about this one more thing, and then I'll be done for today. Not only are the things at the Scorpio and Taurus axis, but you have the other fixed signs that would be making squares to these, or this to things in your chart at those degrees. So if you have planets in Aquarius or Leo in and around 2 degrees, you are going to feel a square kind of energy from this eclipse. Okay, and squares, are challenging, frustrating, but they pass. And again, everything is for a purpose, to, try to see the higher purpose in it and how to use things. If somebody's going to give you a square, I'm going to go use it to measure the edge of something. Yeah. So again, life gives you a lemon, you make lemonade, and then you may not sweeten it with sugar. You might use stevia. All right, that's it for today on eclipses. I hope that clears some things up, but go look in your chart to see what areas of life these areas are being are surged and outaged. All right, see you next time. Bye for now.